Welcome back to another episode of the Day After podcast.
Austin and D sitting in a tree. HIJKLMNOP.
Yep.
Sorry, I have to keep it. I know I dropped the F bomb, but I have to keep it somewhat PG on this channel. Uh,
uh yeah, that is what seems to be the story of the season is the crowning of a new Boston Rob and Amber in Austin and D.
yeah. Well, I feel like we're getting so this is gonna be a two-parter. We were busy, so we couldn't record last week, but we're recording this right after the episode that aired on December 6th. So like that's what's fresh in our mind. Um, but no, I feel like, but they even hinted it at last week's episode on the day before Thanksgiving. Am I correct in that? Or no? My timeline's all messed up. Uh, that would have been the 29th. Yes.
I believe so. Yes.
All
Yes.
right. So the episode on November 29th, they were kind of like hinting about like, oh, like Austin D, they have a little something, something. And this episode, that's just what we started off with. And,
Hmm.
now it's like, oh, you know, they wanted this Amber and Boston Rob thing, but oh crap. Now there hasn't really been a showman's where they're actively like conflicting interests in what they want to do going forward,
Yeah.
at least
Yeah.
in Survivor. Or at least to this extent where it's like, oh, they've kind of made it this far, and now it's like, Austin, he couldn't betray D, but also like, it's like D does, it's like, oh, come on, Austin. It's like, she's in an impossible decision. Um, yeah, so like there was some deep emotional stakes in this one. But yeah. Should we backtrack? Go back to episode, what was it? Eight,
10.
nine, nine, 10?
Yeah. It was 10. This was episode 11, so this is 10
All
and
right.
11. So
So back to episode 10 at the final eight. And they did it.
I
They
I I was so baffled by Bruce's entire strategic decision throughout the
his
entire episode.
his ego just got the best of him, unfortunately. It was one of those things where, it's like if he doesn't win, yeah, he kind of has to play his idol. And that's always been the assumption that was what he was going to do.
Yeah.
Except when he didn't, it was like, so now they have decisions to make. Um,
Yeah, and it's more than that. He literally starts the episode by trying to get people to think he does have it, so that way they will put votes onto him, like in trying to spread this lie, to get votes onto him, and
yeah,
somehow through all of that, he finds out he knows Mama Julie, who he thought was with him, was against him too. So it's not like he thinks, oh, my allies are like in on it with me. He very well and truly should know that, hey, someone has just lied to me in the game that I thought was trustworthy. Maybe I should play it. Like that should have been the first thing that came to his mind.
alas, I feel like, I don't know, like it's always one of those things, damned if you do, damned if you don't. You're always worried. Uh, I don't know. I think it was like a confidence thing, or he was like overconfident in that situation where it was like, no, it's not actually me.
Yeah.
Uh, Misplaced trust, and he went out with an idol in his pocket, which is still like, like, and here's the thing, like, we knew that it was an important vote too, because like if he's gone, it's like so much of the focus has been on whether or not they could vote off Bruce. And
Mhm.
when, or like at the very least, like when is he vulnerable for us to flush out his idol? And so it's like that's the thing when you've had such a big target on someone for so long, then it's like, well, who fills the void? I know we've always floated out Jake's name. I know we've floated out Julia's name,
Yeah.
but now it's like, okay, our big target is gone. Who do we go after next?
Yeah.
And with this episode, or with episode 10, and then like I feel like this one could have gone a lot of different directions because we had the different genders bonding and
Mhm.
whatnot. We had the Top Gun moment for the
Yep.
guys, which I'm
One of
like,
the
as soon as
greatest all-time moments in Survivor, in my opinion, was that entire boys' night sequence.
yeah, I think it's sexist. The women didn't get a fun soundtrack. They didn't get Girls Just Want to
Just
Have
want to have
Fun.
fun, yeah.
It's like, what the heck,
Yeah,
editors.
it's the first time too that they got a copyrighted song to play on Survivor. So
I was about to say, like,
so they put out some extra money to make this moment.
I feel like, well, they have. I, I'm trying to think of like the rights and whatnot. I think it's under Viacom. Yeah, I think Top Gun is under Viacom. So like
Yeah.
I think the strings were somewhat easier to pull, but like still, yeah, that's a lot of money. For those of you who don't know, a little behind the scenes about copyrighted songs and whatnot that aren't like exclusive to the show, they can be very pricey. And
Yeah.
especially when Survivor is about the budget cuts, aka the sanctuary, aka just the roasted chicken with no plates. Uh that still baffles me. And now every
Yeah.
reward after I'm like, oh, okay, there he is.
It's so weird too because then like the next week they do like a Thanksgiving meal, which I know it's like turkey and stuff instead of chicken, but it's like it's basically it just felt like like
I do
it kind of sucked to get the just chicken and then the next one is a Thanksgiving meal. It just feels like not exactly
it
balanced.
maybe Survivor, they were waiting for their paycheck to the direct deposit to hit or their
Yeah.
Venmo to transfer into their account, and they didn't do instant. So if this is the time where it actually took 3 days,
Mhm.
and then they were like, "Oh man, we have to give them something. We can afford a chicken, and that's it.
Yeah.
Not even They didn't even give them paper plates.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think they just found a chicken. I think the chicken that belonged to Ty was just wandering the Fijian island still, and they found him and
they couldn't even include some crafty like.
yeah, yeah, or some drinks. Like they're just
Yeah. I know this is like not obviously episode 10, but like we were like, it's not one of those things.
yeah.
But no, and I feel like that's one of the things where it's also an easy cop out when we're talking about the rewards. Like it was like, oh, girls trip or oh, guys day 2.0. It's one of the things where it's like it's an easy cop out in the sense of like, oh, okay, we're not necessarily doing it strategically. It's like, oh, girls just want to have fun,
Hmm.
or guys just want to playing with the boys.
Yep.
They just want to be playing with the boys. So like, I feel like going forward, could something like that because like obviously rewards. It's something where it can influence the game and you know we've even seen in this week's episode 11, where it's like people will strategize, or what we saw in episode 11, it's like, oh hey, we're kind of like on opposite sides of this. Let's learn about our buffs. Apparently they are made in Spain. I did not.
Yeah, it was a real it was definitely an interesting moment to talk about the buffs. I know I've been showing this to my friends and it's their first season and they're just like they were blown away because in like the first few episodes if they were like I feel like I'm getting an advertisement for buffs right now like because they had the buffs being used in that one challenge. They were being used for as swimsuits. They were like, wow, there's so many uses for this little piece of cloth.
Well, I mean, it's like I forget what the because buff is the
Yeah.
Buff is the, company or like the product name, basically.
Yeah.
Whereas I think it's like a multi-purpose fabric is what it's actually called.
Hmm.
Because I got a buff for what was it? For like a virtual run I did. And like I think that it wasn't a buff. It was like I think it was like purpose fabric.
Hmm.
And you can wear it as a handbag, wear it as a headband. You can do it like, where it's just like covers your entire head as like, that. You can do what Austin did and you tie it in a little dot in the middle.
Hmm.
Armband, bikini top, skirt,
Yep.
sling, as we've seen, bow tie,
Yep.
pocket square, just casually over your shoulder or casually in your pocket.
Yeah, exactly. There's it's got a lot of uses, but I feel like this season specifically has been like a selling point for buffs, whereas before they're like, cool like when you see them like the colors, but like you don't necessarily like they're not like saying, "Wow, look at all of these great uses for the buff." Like I definitely feel
They
like we've gotten a few of those this
they can
season.
even be a wash rag for you.
Yeah.
I would love no, it would be like if you gave someone a buff for, let's say, Christmas or Hanukkah,
Hmm.
like or any of for the season. It's the tis season while I'm wearing this hat. Um, and like they just like a buff, like what is it on online, like 25-30,
Yeah, somewhere around there.
and they just use it as a wash rack.
Yeah.
You
uh
just you go and visit them, and you go use their restroom. And you just see it just drying a little damp on the thing, and I'm like, "Yep,
yeah. Okay, well, I want to really talk about a certain player because there's a player that has had a storyline that I think has focused around one specific person. But I
oh
feel
yeah,
like in these last two episodes, she has become suddenly a much more fleshed out character. We've learned a lot more about her in ways that I thought was not gonna happen. So yeah, we got Katora having a big breakout, couple of episodes here.
yeah." I was a little surprised in episode 11 that she actually had confessionals because
Yeah.
Bruce was eliminated. But no, we finally got to learn more about Katura's backstory and like about the stuff about how she was in a religious cult when she
Mhm.
was super young. And then like, how it's one thing reading, little cliff notes on their little survey, but reading like, oh, when she came out of that cult and stuff, like she didn't realize how many of these things, how many like things were going against her when she came um out of the cult, found out, like discovered within herself that she was, queer, found out like, oh, there's a lot of these prejudice towards, black women, and then like becoming a self-made person like that, and like hearing it through that, it's like that was some strong stuff, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure like she finally celebrated. She's like, yes,
Um,
I'm finally getting the edit I deserve.
yeah, exactly.
Like,
I don't know if you know, but she made an 8-minute TikTok video, basically complaining about her edits, up until like at least in the early stages. So
yeah,
I don't know if you know about that, but it's
it
definitely
doesn't
out there.
surprise me.
Yeah.
It does not surprise me.
Which I mean I understand. Definitely though when I found out about that made me know she's probably not winning because I doubt the winner would would be complaining about that so much. But I'm glad that
Uh,
to at least see that she's getting content now.
I don't know. You never know. We For those of you who are haven't been paying attention to our community tab,
Yeah.
uh, and obviously if you're watching this, I'm pretty sure you've seen episode 11. Uh, so we were like, oh, here's how our final seven are gonna place. I put Emily in second place. Joe put it at first. And it's almost like the demon that messes with me was like, oh, you know what? let's really mess with Joe, because as soon as that happened,
Oh,
Emily goes home.
I
And
know.
hey, there's a plus to it. The Matt theory.
It's finally broken. There's no other person who had any slight little remark at the mats. It is now officially dead this season.
Uh which it's like, one of the things is like, okay, now moving forward, that's not going to be a identifier of the winner in the
Yeah,
beginning episode.
I would say next season it's not a guarantee, but I would still say look out for the people on the mat to make sure. I think we need to get 2 seasons in a row of no math theory winner.
Yeah. But yeah, it was something where I don't know, I feel like it is a bit more free in that. And like I feel like this episode of this week, we got this like we've been seeing like the rise of Emily, because like in the weeks prior, like she was a little quiet, like we didn't hear too much from her. But then the last one on the 29th of November, she had a pretty decent episode, and she played a part in trying to convince Bruce not to play his idol or make him
Mhm.
feel super safe. And playing both sides and like trying to like find her way to the end. Like a lot of people are like, she is really getting that winner's edit. Even like her and her BF, showing clips of that. I was like, I might actually get married. And I think like the last it was starting to be like, okay, this is really where her end game is gonna start, and we're gonna see that. And this
Mhm.
one, we saw even more of that growth. She's like, I didn't think I was going to come out here and learn, and change as a person. And we saw like her backstory and everything. Little do we know that it was because her story was complete, because she was going to be, idled out by one vote. And it's one of those things where it's a survivor what if now.
Mhm.
Um, what if Emily actually played that challenge? When she drew the rock, she drew the green
Yeah.
rock.
Yeah,
When
I do wonder because it was, I believe, the same challenge as the Savvy that we saw
Yeah,
at the
it
beginning
was.
of the season. So and obviously Jake, Brando, Caleb, and Sabaya had a lot of difficulties with it. Like they just couldn't figure it out at all. And they had way more time, I believe, than what Emily would have had.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's hard to
I
say.
will. It's also another thing too, where physical exhaustion does affect the mental state a
Yeah.
little bit. So it's like one of those things where, also plays a huge factor into that as well. But I don't know. I felt like Emily was even like, yeah, I could do this. But she was like, no, I can't risk my vote, even though fundamentally her vote was just adding on to what the majority said.
Mhm.
And she got idled, idled out. I will say props to Austin for not playing his idol in that situation.
Mhm.
Uh, there was even a little thing in the edit when that happened too, and I'm pretty sure you caught it
Yeah.
too,
Yeah.
where yeah, where
They gave a little moment, like almost as if someone else like could play it. So
like, well, like Julie, it looked like when Austin didn't play it, Julie made a face, and it was
mhm.
almost like teasing the audience a little bit. It was like, oh crap, she voted for Austin. She pulled the trigger.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
it's I don't know. I'm definitely afraid that we're getting a season 43 situation that might be happening, which would be a little unfortunate where all these big players, big personalities are all going out. Like I think this jury has so much personality on it. And it just makes me go like, okay, well, are we going to lose, like Austin and Drew next and Jake, and it's gonna just, like, and I'm sure, there's still some like I think everyone in the game is still likable, but it does feel like we're losing all the big personalities, kind of in rapid succession.
Yeah. I don't know, but like I feel like the thing it was like the people who are left at that point in 43 and the people that are here now, I feel what's different is I don't know, I feel like this one there is no like Gabler who is left, or there is
Mhm.
no Cassidy who's been well, I mean Katura is a little bit like Cassidy.
Yeah,
Maybe with a few less individual immunities than Cassidy. But like, in the sense of like, okay, most of her edit was about this one dude, and
yeah,
now that one dude's gone, and then it's like, oh, okay, where do we go from here?
yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like I think the likability, I think the six we have left have been pretty fleshed out.
Yeah. But
Um,
but would you be satisfied after with the season if we got a Julie, Katora, Jake final three out of all the different possibilities that we could have gotten with this season?
Maybe if Jake won, I'm just
I
gonna
well, look, I'm assuming in that situation, Julie wins the game. By the way, I actually think
no, no,
Julie
no, no.
would.
I get it. I get it.
Yeah,
No, I do.
which to me, like, I think Julie is a better player than Gabler, but I could see people having some of the comparisons, as the older player who kind of
Yeah,
was with a bigger group that kind of is like gets out all the big threats at the end and kind of ends up, you know
yeah,
getting the victory, even though it almost seemed like, how is this even possible?
true. I mean, like, I think like yeah, people definitely underestimated Julie, but
Mhm.
now everyone is like because like this episode started out, episode 11, with people being like, "Oh, Emily is actually like okay, we can't keep her around," but also Julie. Like, think about it. She's
Yeah,
like the biggest jury, like she's the biggest threat when it comes to final tribal council
yeah,
because she's everyone's mom.
yeah. I
Um,
do think she's in almost what the Caleb situation was after he had his big shot in the dark moment. I think Julie is just the biggest threat right now, and I mean, they got to make a move again on her, because if you don't take her out in one of these next two votes, she could be easily at the end with and I don't know. Maybe she ends up pulling out a big victory against, say she's up against who I just said, Jake Katora. I could see her beating Drew too.
yeah. Um, I guess it really just it depends. There's still like, and I think what was great about this episode, and if it wasn't for the idol play, we would have seen the Reba 4 officially break up. Right now, they just had a little
Yeah,
fight. Even
yeah,
though the next time on Survivor, it looks, I'm not gonna lie, Drew like throwing stuff. I'm like, what the hell happened? And it's like,
yeah, yeah. I,
uh,
I I'm going to be honest. I definitely think Drew's going home next week, if in my personal opinion.
I think if it's a war between him and Julie, it is one of the things because I remind you, and the audience as well, and they even brought it up in episode 10. Julie's pretty good at challenges.
Yeah,
She's really good at endurance ones specifically. Um, so it's one of those things where now that there are fewer people left, it becomes a bit more, especially her main competition, Bruce is gone. Um, begs the reason, she could win a few near the end.
yeah. I mean, I do think near the end though, you start getting a lot more of the challenges like we got this episode 11. That's a little more obstacle coursey, ends in a puzzle,
Yeah.
or a Samotion,
Yeah.
which is kind of an endurance, but it's more about kind of, being able to
I think
uh
it's a mixture of endurance, rhythm,
yeah.
and
There's a few,
reflexes.
there's a few factors into it that's not just that, which I could see maybe it's not going to be as big of a strength as we've had her in some of the previous challenges where she's, had those near wins. Um
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I just think that when you play an idol and get to choose one person to take out, and it's Emily, the person with a huge story,
Yeah,
you are now officially, the
target
person.
number one. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. So if a Reba person goes, I mean, I think that I do think Drew's gonna have some issues. I think Julie is trying to say, kind of be like, hey, he's the one who's also really trying to break up you know,
yeah,
the core four. She had the whole confessional about it. And with Drew winning this immunity, it could be one of those situations where, they didn't think he was great at challenges, but now he just won this immunity. Okay, he doesn't win this next one. Let's just take him out.
maybe. I will say, and this is one of the tough things. We all know that, you know, or if you didn't know, you knew by this episode that the puzzles they do are double-sided, which
Mhm.
makes it all the more hard
Yeah.
because now you're solving two different puzzles. I feel like this one is even harder because you're doing a double-sided word puzzle.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That puzzle was ridiculously hard. Like having to also like maintain like that
Yeah,
arc also while doing the puzzle and finding the right things and matching everything up. Like that is actually extremely difficult. And I mean that's why we saw Drew drop so many times. Yeah, you're gonna drop because it's got a balance elements to it as well that is very difficult. So props to Drew for doing it. I do think that's probably one of the toughest puzzles that I've seen on Survivor.
agreed. Yeah, I was about to say, like, word for me, what did it especially was the double word,
Yeah,
or like the double-sided word, because then
yeah,
it's like you have to make sure it's matching on both sides.
yeah. And
Um,
Austin just totally wasn't realizing that. Even though Jeff was saying it over and over, he didn't pick up on it, and he was just like, what's wrong with it? I'm seeing the word right here. It's
yeah,
uh
it could be one of those total drama moments where it's like, what? I got it right. It's here. Did you
yeah.
check the back? No.
uh So yeah, Drew ends up winning, and it seems like everyone was happy for him. It seems like everyone's just happy for everyone in the season. I think there's this season has not a lot of great strategic play. It's definitely more about the emotional connections that everyone's having.
I
you're
agree.
seeing it. It's like there's been a lot of dogpiling where they're just trying to say, let's just take this person out. It's been really hard for anyone to make a turn on an alliance member. It's You haven't seen a lot of backstabbing actually. It's been mostly people on opposing sides having to tell each other like
Yeah,
that.
not even that. I feel like episode 11, even when they were trying to blindside, it's like, like
You don't
word to the
wanna.
wise, Austin, from the guy who don't make strategic decisions based off of love.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that
case in
was
point.
a massive blunder, because I do think it is best for Austin's game if Julie was out, because then D would have then actually been indebted. Like she has to play with Austin at that point. That it's the same thing that Tony did in Winners at War. He took out Sophie to make it so that Sarah can't play with Sophie, who was becoming her new like closest
Yeah,
bud. And even though she was pissed off at him, the next day she has to now work with him.
yeah, because it's like, well, who does D have? Well, D could, team up with Emily and all that.
Yeah.
But it's also like it's tough. Like I know we're joking, we're playing, like the all stuff about like, their feelings and whatnot for each other. But that's another thing too. It's like it is a game for $1 million. And then also it's like, do you mess up that bond? Because
Mhm.
you're only out there for 26 days. Yes, it feels like 6 months out there, but it's like if you want to nurture that relationship and whatever it could be, it's like how I act during this, it's like this could like really mess up my chances being with this person afterwards.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, like it's a tough decision. Like, like I'm not sure. Yeah, I know I say like, oh, I'd be cold, or oh no, I have a mission and whatnot. I don't know what I would do in that scenario because I'm like,
Um,
in my head, I'm like, yeah, like, come on, it's a game, but at the same time, like hard, like, dang, I
yeah.
can't.
Yeah, and
Um,
it can't possibly end the Boston Rob and Amber way anymore because they don't have the time after the show to still hang out and date and then get the ring and have the whole proposal at a big studio. They do it all right there, and I doubt Austin is
Jeff's
proposing to
ordained.
D. Yeah,
He's offered before to marry people on the spot. Remember
yeah, yeah,
Taylor and Figgy?
yep.
That
uh, yeah, yeah.
Survivor What If they got married that day.
Yeah, well, let's see if that's they're gonna have a whole segment with Austin Deegan and married and the they're gonna bring out in the islands the whole altar and
Mhm.
here get some rings, maybe if one of them wins, take some of the out of the paycheck and be like, okay, here's
Yeah. Uh yeah. But I mean, who knows? One of these Bryson One present the finale party. They could right then and there.
yeah.
Apparently Jeff has been went to one of them.
Oh really?
Either that or like I think Jeff is now aware of it, or like he has
Uh-huh.
been aware, but like they like met up recently.
Interesting.
And that's like I think they were also saying, oh, big stuff on the way. Um, it's been I've been not really. I've been kind of like in and out of social media the
Mhm.
past month because just so
That's
much has been
good.
happening.
Yeah, social
Yeah, but at
media
the same
is
time, when you're internet famous, you kind of have to keep up with that stuff. Like,
yeah.
there are some posts where I'm like, the time has passed. It's weird if I post it now. Um,
Mhm.
so like, I'm like behind. I wouldn't say behind. I'm like, yep, I'm just not gonna post about it, I guess. Uh,
Uh-huh.
yeah. But no, like I know they had some stuff like sometime during November, and I believe they met up with Jeff. Um,
I know that
but I
there
mean,
was like
like,
some I know that there was like a screening party like the a day before an episode came out that Rob Cesternino actually hosted and then introduced Jeff that came out and Jeff was there for that as well.
I'm in
Um
crazy.
yeah, so which is crazy too because apparently like nothing got spoiled off of them like a whole bunch of people seeing it like a day before the episode came out, which
I
props
feel like
to all those people who
I feel like yeah, props to them.
yeah.
But I feel like if you're a super fan like that, you're not gonna
Mhm.
not to.
Yeah.
Actually, no, that's not well. Yeah, I'm sure like maybe there was an NDA they had to sign, but it's
Mhm.
also like you just don't talk about it for one day. You can
Yeah.
hold off for one day.
Yeah.
Um, if you went with like your buddies and whatnot, you can talk about it like in the car ride home or something like that. But like, it's like you can hold off with your post for one day. It's
Yeah.
even not even that. If it's like 5 p.m. Like out here East Coast time, or West Coast time, it's like 5 p.m. That's when Survivor starts. You've already seen the episode. You can probably make a post or something around 5, 6 o'clock, and you'd be fine. So it's not
Mhm.
even a full 24 hours. It's like you can hold it for that long. Come on.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Um, okay. What else do we need to talk about these two episodes? Anything jumping out at you?
Uh, Nothing comes to mind, TBH. I think we hit a lot of the big points.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, there is something with episode 11 where, you know, and this goes back to Couture finally being able to like get coverage that's not focused around Bruce. But like, Jake and her had a nice moment where they're talking and stuff. And then Jake is like, he was kind of like picking up on some, lawyer vibes. And then,
Uh-huh.
um, and I think, and I feel like it went from that to getting Couture's story. So like I kind of blinked and then it was like them on the beach talking and then, okay, we
Yeah.
went to like Couture's thing. But it's like one of the things where, you know, I thought it was a nice moment. I don't believe he like called her out or anything, but it was like,
Nah.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I wonder if he'll have a big reaction when he finds out that Katora is
How big
indeed
his
a lawyer.
whoa is gonna
Yeah.
be.
Yeah. So I definitely hope we get to see that. I kind of wanted him to get to like a final tribal with Katora on the jury and her to be able to make this bombshell.
Yeah.
So that way we can see as well. Because if he goes to Ponderosa and Katora goes to Ponderosa, we're gonna miss out on it.
Yeah, we would.
Yeah.
Um, no. But speaking of reaction, the jury's reaction to stuff this episode, or
Yeah.
like the past two, where it's like one with Bruce's elimination, where when he didn't play the idol, you could just see like Kelly just be like, or yeah, it was. I've been so used to calling her Danielle. I was like, wait, I have to double take. It was like, oh wait, it is Kelly.
Yeah.
It's just and all that. Caleb is
Yeah.
reacting crazy too. So is Ken. Well, I mean, they got like the big reactors on there.
Yeah.
Right now. Even when Bruce added to the mix, like he had a few like as much as a jury member can speak during tribal council, but like he had a little like one or two things he was whispering to the jury.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying. We got a stacked jury, in my opinion, where
Yeah.
I just feel like there's a lot of great people who I wish we could still be seeing because I think there's a lot of entertainment. And this is why I need Ponderosa videos to come back. It's fine, like if they're out, but like at least let me get to see content of them still, like Ponderosas were some of the best parts, Survivor. Bring it back.
Come on, guys.
Apparently they're going back and taking down Ponderosa videos from previous seasons too. So
Why?
they're trying to like just scrub Ponderosa.
It makes no sense.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
also for you guys, it's like extra content to put out that you could monetize.
Yeah.
Like for most people, they skip the ads anyway, but it's more content for you
Yeah.
to
It's
put
stuff
out.
you don't have to do anything with anymore. It exists and people love to watch it. Don't take it down and create more. It's like it takes one camera guy who's in charge of Ponderosa stuff to make Ponderosa videos. Just do it.
Jeff makes an announcement. It's like, hey, so because we had to maintain the Ponderosa videos up, that's why they got the chicken without utensils or anything like that. Like we're really struggling here.
uh I don't know. I just want it. Survivor, please. It's so good. I know that sometimes there's been some controversial things happening at Ponderosa. Just don't show that. Just you get a lot of content anyways. Just
You
show the
legit control the edit.
yeah.
Granted, I know there are some things you can't really edit around, like big things.
Yeah.
Like, it's like you can't edit around, like the Jeff Garner thing.
Yeah. Jeff Varner.
Varner, my bad.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't have possibly edited around that because that led
Yeah.
to his elimination right there, then and there.
Yeah.
Or like it's like I get it. You can't necessarily, like you control the edit to some degree where it's like, okay, we just don't show this part or did what they did with Dan and 39, where it's like, hey,
Yeah.
you just kind of like put a little like text on screen that kind of explains the situation if you
Yeah.
don't want to really show it.
Yeah, I think they're also just afraid because like I will say Ponderosa can definitely tell you where everyone is planning to vote in the
Not
season.
to.
And I wonder if they're trying to avoid people doing that. And but like I want to see that because the last few seasons have been the exact same votes like pattern, and I want to see, are they just all coming to this consensus of how to spread votes, you know? Like we can learn this if they just gave us some, you know, like I need confirmation here. I need to know why we've had the exact same, even though, you know, I think that it should not have been that way for a couple of them.
Agreed. Back to 43, the Gabler vote.
Yeah.
Uh, but no,
Yeah, it should have been 9-0 for a Gabler.
oh, totally. I'm pretty sure we would just see cracks in the universe right then and there.
Yeah, Gabler gets a perfect game. He's the new era best player.
Yeah. He
Oh,
breaks reality.
yeah.
But other than that, is there anything you can think of other than like our usual confessional counts and MVP LVPs?
I don't think so. I think we can get right into confessional counts here.
All right.
Okay, so I'll include both people who just got voted out here in episode 10 and 11. So Bruce had 39 confessionals by the time that he was eliminated, and Emily with a whopping 62 confessionals.
Dang. And that's another thing too, the confessional count where it was like she was on top and then
Yeah.
gone again. Uh, Funny enough, it keeps happening to Lulu members. I will say her being the last Lulu standing and still like being around for quite a bit. I feel like Emily is definitely someone that will come back.
Oh, definitely.
That they're going to invite back.
Yeah, I think she's definitely coming back. I wonder how well she'll do. It's hard to say. You know, she was obviously almost the first person voted off.
I think tribe chemistry is really, I think it's really tribe chemistry dependent for her
Yeah.
because I can see her getting in with a really strong group or them being like, you know, you
Yeah.
have someone like James where it's like, you know, like she got her whole tribe eliminated. Like, come on.
Yeah,
Everyone
I
from
yeah, I think she needs to get onto the tribe with Jonathan in the next All-Star season. Someone
Yeah,
who's just going to straight up carry her through the pre-merge, so that way she can try her hand at the merge again. Because I do think she's a good player. Yeah, I think she just had a really bad start.
yeah.
And then it was
That's putting it
just.
mildly, my dude.
Yeah, yeah. Oh no, it was a nuclear start from the beginning, like, and the fact that she did as well and became likable to everyone is you know, mind-boggling. I don't think anyone saw that coming. I think everyone thought she was
No.
just going to like cause chaos for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I feel like, and that was a cool thing about her too. She wasn't Cass 2.0.
Mhm,
It sounded like she was going to be, but then no, I feel like she is someone where she differentiated herself from
mhm.
the archetype that she was supposed to fall under. And
Yeah,
now it's like, oh, it's just Emily flipping.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so yeah. Oh, so back to confessional
Yeah,
counts.
yeah. Back to confessional. So yeah, she had 62. Okay, so now the new highest confessional is Drew with 56 confessionals. So
Mm,
doing pretty good there with Drew. Next up, we have Katora with 53 confessionals.
okay.
Yeah,
But
I know,
I'm a
out of
little
out of
surprised how
nowhere.
yeah, I'm a little surprised that that's quite the jump because she was damn near the bottom.
Yeah,
Or
she got
not near,
yeah,
but
she
it
she
felt
she,
like
she got 9 confessionals this episode. And then 7 the previous one.
yeah. Uh so good on her. Now she's in
Yeah.
second place.
Yep. Austin is in third with 51 confessionals. And then D is in fourth with 42 confessionals. Jake is in fifth with 41 confessionals, so just one below D. And then Julie is in last with 35 confessionals.
I would say the last few definitely gave her a lot more screen time too,
Yeah.
especially like this time around, where it's like, should I play it? Should I go after Austin?
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
interestingly, she still only got 7 confessionals on this episode, and both Dee, Austin, Katurah, and Emily had more confessionals this episode than her.
Hmm. Maybe they didn't want to truly reveal her plans. Who
Yeah,
knows?
yeah, an interesting, little tidbit there, but, yeah, it's, definitely looking like a Reba win, in my opinion. It's, I find it very hard for Jake or Katurah to win this game at this point. Um,
Yeah. Um, especially one, just statistically speaking. Two,
yeah.
um, I mean, like the Reba four have influenced so much of this game or so much of this, ever since Mergatory,
Mhm,
of like, oh, the direction of things, where it's like, yeah, we'll take out J Maya, or yeah, you can take out Sifu. Okay, now we're gonna take out your people. We're gonna make you take out your people.
mhm,
Now we have control. We're gonna try and get rid of each other. Actually, we're not. Uh yeah, it's just like, a lot of the decisions on who goes home have been from Reba.
mhm.
So makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's that. Let's do LVP and MVP for episode 10. Let's try to think back to episode 10 and see who gets the everything. I mean, I'm giving the LVP obviously to Bruce. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I feel like episode 10, it's pretty obvious.
yeah,
When you go home with an idol in your pocket,
yeah,
and the moves he was trying to make just weren't landing at all. Um, yeah, I hate to say it, but it's
yeah.
Bruce, man.
Yeah.
Um,
And then it's weird giving these awards right now because we've now just seen episode 11 because I would have probably said Emily as
yeah,
MVP of episode 10, but now we also know it kind of come back to bite her in the butt. So, but I'm gonna assume I'm gonna try to give it without the knowledge of episode 11, and I will be giving it
I
to
would have
Emily.
done it too. I would
Yeah,
have done it too.
yeah,
Because she won the reward
yeah.
and had the ladies' night.
Yeah,
It's-
because she did it, she was able to cue some of the greatest, moments on the season with the boys' night, so
yeah. Uh, so yeah. For episode 11, LVP love.
um, Love. You're giving Love as the
The
LVP.
LVP. I mean, it has two of the letters already in it.
Yeah. Um, I'm going to give it to Austin. I mean,
Yeah,
it's the
yeah.
same vein here. I think it would have been best in his interest, for his personal game to take Julie out and to not tell D.
Listen, you've never made strategical decisions based on love before, have you, Joe?
I have not.
Well, as someone who has, as we've proven on this channel, I know love's strong. We're not playing around. Uh, but it will bite you in the butt.
Yeah.
Will it bite him in the butt at the end? I still think Austin has a pretty decent shot of winning this.
Uh-huh.
It's just he has to make it there. He can
Yeah.
guarantee himself to final five. And at that
Yeah.
point, he's decent enough at challenges. He has a pretty strong pair, like two
Yeah.
pretty strong pairs. There is a way for him to make it to the end. I think it's more
Yeah.
so of like how he's able to do it.
Yeah, I think he needs to not be sitting next to D, and it seems like he believes he needs to sit next to D right now. He wants to sit next to D. So, it's him winning the game, I think
The heart.
it's not him winning this game right now is not in his decision. It's into everyone else's decisions and how they're playing the game if they end up taking out D. Because it's clear that
Yeah,
he's not gonna pull that trigger.
no. And for MVP, I am going to give it to Julie. Mama J.
Yeah, yeah. I
Because
think
I mean, like, she took out the biggest threat,
yep.
had the first successful, not shot in the dark. Shot in the dark is different, but had a
Mhm,
successful idol play. Didn't go home with one in her pocket like so
yep.
many before her. And because of her strong bond that she has had with Dee this whole time, you know,
Mhm,
was able to do it. And even, still, didn't get rid of Dee by voting out Austin, where like she could have. He
mhm.
didn't play it up. He could have went home with that amulet in his pocket.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
that would
it's
have really caused hell in the Reba Alliance, I think.
yeah.
I think
So
Drew
like
would be freaking out. He would probably be the next one to go, honestly. And
yeah. And I mean like I feel like she was smart. Like, all right, Emily is a the thing is it's like getting rid of Emily, that was a huge target. Was it
Mhm,
as huge as Austin? I think it's on par, to be honest, because I feel like they're both threats in their own way. And I feel like Emily's story up until this point, and especially after the Bruce, when people are like, oh, it puts so much like attention on her, whereas like, okay, it really was a big move that Julie was like, had that successful idol play, took out Emily,
mhm.
and managed to save her number one alliance as well without jeopardizing or compromising it.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. Yeah, Joy definitely deserves the MVP. I mean, yeah, we're gonna see how she navigates the game continuing because it is definitely going to be a lot more eyes are on her. But at least for this episode, it was definitely, I mean, she would have gone home otherwise. So she made the right place. So yeah, that
Yeah.
I believe that does it here. We're coming near the end of the season, only two more episodes left to go.
Yeah.
So
I'm uh I'm interested to see how it all turns out. Like
mhm,
I mean, after this episode, I mean, with Emily going, because like we all were like, might actually win this thing. And then eliminated the very next. It's like, could it be? It's like, could it be one of the Reba? It's definitely a
mhm,
Reba, but it's like,
yeah,
does Julie make it to the end? Does Dee take out the competition and make it to the end?
yeah,
Is it one of the Drew? Is it Drew and Austin? Are we going to get a boys finale?
yeah.
It
What's
goes from
what's really interesting is you can look up like betting odds for who's going to win each season of Survivor, and Drew has consistently been at like the bottom. He suddenly before this episode shot up to number one. Now for some reason like the betting odds were putting him as number one. I was like, I would not put that. But yeah, interesting little tidbit is that somehow people who are betting are now suddenly putting a bunch of money onto Drew.
this is why I don't gamble.
Yeah.
Clearly I don't. I was like, if I put money on Jake Mile winning, I would have been
Yeah.
like, I
Yeah.
put $1,000 on.
Yeah, there's been a few times I've almost thought about doing it. I honestly I was pretty close to putting money on Jam Jam. Um,
Oh man,
and I was so upset that I didn't do that.
that's how I feel about the GameStop stuff.
Yeah. It's like a
And
cool idea to gamble, but then I hate doing it.
thing is, I have shitty luck, as you guys know, so I
Yeah.
should never gamble under any circumstances.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, we need to start adding gambling stakes to our brand steals.
my God, it's like it's always crazy odds for me because like I just have such a bad track record with all that.
Yeah.
I even warned in our community polls, like Ryan is usually wrong. Take that, heed my warning. Uh, what was the end result of that? Because I didn't
Um,
even vote for me. I was like, no, it'll be Joe.
yeah, so 63% voted for me, 38 for you.
Yeah, I was like, and one of those votes are from me, where I'm like, I think me choosing that was just what sealed Emily's fate, honestly.
Yeah.
It had the ripple effects where it was like, because I'm like, oh, well, obviously Joe's gonna be right, and so I'm choosing Joe's answer, and then that made that wrong. It's just like heat-seeking
It's
missiles. I'm
just,
like,
yeah, man, I'm gonna miss Emily. I think she added a lot to the season. I think Bruce added a lot to the season. And I feel like we're now in a world without those two. We're gonna have to see
the
if the
lovers, the Romeo and Juliet of Survivor.
yeah.
The,
Can they carry these final two episodes? I think
we
that's
all
going to be
love a
the
good love story.
I think that's going to be the real test to this end game of the season is can Austin and Dee's love story can
Well,
that be
I think the whole thing with Reba is it even early on, back when it was, them against J Maya and Sifu, where like, there was some distrust, with the idol clues and whatnot. And then they like forged a friendship when they did decide to trust each other. I feel like it's like a slow burn with
Mhm.
the discourse in Reba, where it's like, okay, yeah, we had this hiccup, now we're tied. And then it's like, oh, okay, there are fractures in here. It's like
Mhm.
who's gonna make the move first? And like this one was like, we definitely see the cracks and it's about to break. It's like it's been like a slow little burn this entire season, and
Yeah.
now like we're about to get the payoff from it. And
Yeah.
now we have a love story in in the mix.
Yeah, it's interesting because I feel like Reba has actually been cracked for a lot of this merge, but somehow Bello was somehow way worse in terms of being together that it made Reba seem like unpenetrable, even though I think it was very
Yeah,
possible to do something against them. We even get Drew even saying just like he thought that they were gonna make some move against at least he didn't think all four of them would be sitting there at the final
yeah.
seven.
Well, I mean, they also Bello had the numbers too, and they were still
Yeah.
like it was like that Captain America, his last line in Endgame, where it's like, so are you guys gonna make a move against Reba? And they're like, no, I don't think I will. And they just have a smile. Like, okay,
Yeah.
you, you
Uh
have the numbers to do that, but
yeah.
okay, take out Kelly.
Yep. Which was a great I love the Kelly blind side, but then it
It
kind
was
of just
great,
it
but
just
like
then
it's
kept snowballing and every bellow was getting taken out.
yeah. Um,
Yeah, and now the only person who I think had a chance that was non-Reba went out. So
yeah. Because I mean, Jake is still playing this underdog game.
yeah,
I think Katura's game, while she has a really great story personally, and maybe she can use that story and whatnot, like gameplay
mhm,
wise, she hasn't really done too much.
yeah,
So it's like, unless things really, really pick up her in this end game, depending on who she's sitting with, it doesn't look too good for
yeah.
her winning.
I can see a lot of the Bello members actually pointing blame at her for being the cause of why Bello could never stick together. Was everyone kind of knew she was never going to work with Bruce.
No.
And so there was just a very clear like how can you possibly get everyone there to work together if two of your allies are not going to work together. Um
It's damn
so
near impossible.
yeah, and I think Jake. The thing is, we've had multiple people who have played just like him, where it just nothing will ever go his way. Look at the Owen Knights, the Romeos, the Xanders. Like they all had these very similar games of just no one wanting to work with them. It feels like they can't get too much done, and they get to the end, but you don't want to. Even though technically they're an underdog, you don't really want to give them the win because it feels like they just didn't do
Yeah,
anything and the people in
it'd be a
charge just
hollow victory.
yeah,
Yeah,
the people in charge just weren't voting for them, but that's not really on them. It's because they were taking out the bigger threats.
yeah,
So
that's fair.
Okay. Well, that's gonna do it for this one. Yeah, it's we're gonna see how this goes. I'm definitely a little scared moving forward just because of the people who have been eliminated. But let's keep seeing how this season unfolds.
No, I'm excited for the ending. I think it's gonna be
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah. Okay. Well, with that being said, we will see you in the next one.
Happy holidays, guys. Peace.